It's time to reveal the latest and updated sliders and settings for you guys to use in FC24 if you want the game to be realistic, if you want it to be a simulation, and if you want it to look like the gameplay you're seeing on screen now. I am pleased to confirm that the gameplay is much slower, it's much more realistic, and it's overall much more enjoyable and challenging following this update, especially with these settings. I will also be revealing 3 key changes I made that have transformed this game for me, and I can honestly say, as of this moment, I'm enjoying playing FC24. So make sure you stay until the end of the video for that, and if you're going to enjoy this video and find it useful, please do drop a like on it and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate that. So let's not waste any more time and get straight into the sliders. Title Update 8 did not have many gameplay changes at all, and that will be reflected in these sliders. However, one thing they definitely changed is the speed of the game, and that's the only slider that has changed in this set of settings, and it has gone from 0 to 5. Following Title Update 7, the game was way too quick, and even on 0, I wished I could make it slower. But after this update, 5 is just perfect. You'll see it on screen now how it looks. It doesn't look too fast. The sprinting animations still work perfectly. The defending is in check, so I'd suggest increasing it up to 5. If you still feel like it's a bit too slow, I'd go up to 8, but nothing above 8. Because yeah, it gets a bit too quick for me. And to those who want it even slower, you can even reduce it. And like I said, the rest of these sliders are the exact same from the previous update. So I'll not spend too much time on them, but for those who have not seen the previous video, acceleration is on 50, shot error is on 65, pass error is on 81, shot speed is on 45, pass speed is on 29, injury frequency is on 85, injury severity is on 35, goalkeeping ability is on 68, marking is on 73, run frequency is on 10, line height is on 50, line length is on 27, line width is on 47, fullback positioning is on 50, and the first touch control error is on 54. Now following these videos, I normally get questions about how to make the game more difficult. Some people find it a bit too easy and they're still scoring a lot of goals, and I'd suggest adjusting these few sliders. Firstly, first touch control error. If you're scoring way too many goals, I'd suggest increasing this for the user. I'd suggest increasing the marking for the AI. I'd suggest increasing the pass error for the user, and potentially also increasing the shot error for the user. Whereas if you're finding it too difficult to score goals, I'd say just do the complete opposite to what I just said, or you could just increase the run frequency for the user. And if you think the AI are not scoring enough goals, you could increase the run frequency for the AI. You could make the marking a bit more difficult for yourself by lowering the marking. You have many options to play around here, and it's all down to your personal preference. I also normally get questions regarding the game settings that I use. We'll get into the controller settings in a second, but firstly, the half length for these sliders. So which half length works best? I'd say between 6 minutes and 10 minutes. Anything above 10 for me is a bit too long and you're going to get too many goals, and anything below that will force you to rush into the play, and you're not really going to be able to build up play and create chances and create goals like how you would like to do. So I'd say anywhere between 6-minute halves to 10-minute halves would work perfectly. Now, difficulty. Now I play on 3 difficulties, and this is due to me playing career mode, and this is a suggestion I throw you guys out there to make your career modes more fun, right? I play on world class difficulty in home domestic games, so home league games and home domestic cup games. I then play on legendary difficulty in away domestic games, so away in the league, away in a domestic cup, and at home in European competitions. I then play on ultimate difficulty in away games in European competitions. This for me simulates that feeling of having a home advantage, simulates the whole going away in Europe factor to one of the top teams in Europe. It makes it a bit more difficult, it makes it a bit more interesting going away to the Bernabeu or going away to Anfield as opposed to being at home. So I'd suggest you guys implement that into your career modes as well. I then play with competitor mode off and player-based difficulty off. I used to play with player-based difficulty on in the earlier builds of this game, but following Title Update 4 or 5, I just completely scrapped it because it got a bit too ridiculous. I think they just nerfed it up and made it unplayable, so I'd still suggest to have it off. I then play on slow-paced game speed. I believe playing on slow alongside the sprint speed adjustments, alongside the potential acceleration adjustments to those who are just acceleration, is the best way to go. I think the game looks a bit clunky if you have it on on normal and on these sliders, because the pass speed is significantly slower, the sprint speed is significantly slower, the shot speed is slower. So I'd say the overall game speed also has to be slower, or else it's just going to be out of sync. Now remember, I mentioned the three main things I changed to make this game more enjoyable. The first is the camera. I used to play on the EA Sports Game Cam, but I have changed that following this update. I'm playing on broadcast now, and it has completely changed how you play the game. You see certain passes that you never saw before. You feel like you are on the field, and there are certain plays that you just cannot do. It has its pros and cons, because there are certain parts of the field where you kind of have to guess that your player is there or not, especially because I don't play with the radar on. But it's definitely worth a go. And the good thing about it is it's available across all platforms, whereas the EA Sports Game Cam camera is only available on the next gen versions of the game. The broadcast camera is available everywhere. But I adjusted though. 20 height, 0 zoom, 0 far side focus, 1 ball tracking speed, and 0 penalty area zoom. Like I said, this camera has completely changed how I see the game. Try it out, and I bet you guys will enjoy it. Now for the visual settings, I want my game to look like I'm watching a game of football, right? So I don't play with the player HUD. I use the indicator because that's the least noticeable one, and my indicator is the player name so that I know which player I'm in control of at any given time. However, I make the indicator small again so that it doesn't fill up the screen, and it just adds to the immersion of the game. And because of this, all the other indicators are off except for the next player switch indicator, mainly because I use the second man press quite a lot, right? And I want to know which defender I'm going to be switching to when I switch the defender, so that one's useful for me. But apart from that, all the other indicators are off, including the whole play style thing, including the whole overlays of the high promotion stuff. I think that's just way too futuristic looking for me. I just want to see players in the field playing football, and that's why I try to keep it to. Now the rules, of course I have injuries on, offsides on, and bookings on. The handballs, however, is a bit of a controversial one. Sometimes I have it on except for penalties when I feel like there are way too many penalties, but then sometimes there's a legitimate handball in the box and it's just not given, and I'm tempted to have it on. I'd say you guys should just play around with this one just to find what works for you, what doesn't, because when it's on, it literally gives a penalty every time the ball touches the hand without any context. So that could get a bit too much, but I actually use this during career mode. And finally, the referee strictness. I have it on strict. Used to have it on very strict. Following title update 7, way too many red cards. Literally a red card in every single game, sometimes even multiple red cards in a game. Strict works. There's certain controversial calls where you could be like, that's a red, but it's still a yellow. That's a yellow, but it's given as a red. Is that a foul? Is that not a foul? Which just aligns with modern day football, where every decision is questionable, but you will still get a lot of fouls in the game. Another feature I never see people utilize is the multiple commentary languages in the game. Why don't you use them? For a number of years now, I just automatically go out and download all the languages that I'll be using, and I constantly change between them. If I'm playing in Italy, I'm using Italian. If I'm playing in Germany, I'm using German. England, English. Like, it just adds that other layer of genuinely feeling that you are in a different place. For example, again, if you're playing in the Champions League and you're an English team going away to Germany, why not use German commentary? You know, you may not even understand what's going on, so adding the fact that you're using German commentary, not understanding what's going on, and playing on ultimate difficulty because you're away in Europe, that's really gonna simulate that feeling of, yeah, mate, you're not really welcome over here. My commentary volume is always lower than my stadium ambience volume, mainly because I want to hear the roar of the crowd. I want to hear all the different chants they make. You can still hear the volume of the commentary when you have it down to 4, but of course the crowd will take priority. And another way to increase the atmosphere in the stadium is by switching on beyond broadcast. It gets to a point where it sounds like a cauldron. It's wild. It's absolutely loud. There'll be drums in the crowd. It's all over the place. I only use this feature in the biggest games of the season. So highly contested derbies, a cup final, a big semi-final, a big away tie in Europe. So only on special occasions, because this really makes the crowd go wild. Now finally, the gameplay and controller settings. These are vital in getting your game to look like what you see on screen now, because they work hand in hand with the sliders. The sliders are like halfway there. You need the settings as well to supplement the sliders, and thus you get what you see on screen right now. So I don't want to make this video too long by explaining each and every setting, but I will just highlight the ones that I think are most important. Firstly, jockeying. I have it on manual jockeying because it makes it more difficult to win the ball back. If you're finding it too difficult to defend, especially in 1v1 situations against like a tricky winger or something like that, I'd say use assisted, but I find that a bit too easy, so I use manual. Then the type of defending I now use advanced defending, and this is another key feature that has made me enjoy the game significantly more. Used to use tactical because I mean most people use tactical, especially if you play other game modes like online and stuff, but advanced defending for me is an absolute game changer, and you commit far less fouls with advanced defending even on manual jockeying. This is because in every defensive situation you have three options of how to win the ball back. You can either tackle the player, jockey the player, or in this instance, you can use your upper body to barge the player off the ball legally. And advanced defending is the only type of defending that gives you that third option. Of course, you have to get used to it, you have to time it, you have to learn it, but once you do, you will find defending significantly easier. There are moments when the ref would give a foul for you barging into a player and stuff like that, especially because we have the referee strictness on strict. So there are quite a few fouls with this type of defending, but I find it significantly more enjoyable than the other two. I'll emphasize again, the settings are also very important. Some, like I said, are down to personal preference, and you guys in the end should set the settings that make you enjoy the game the best way you can. But if you want realism, these are the ones that I'd suggest you use. And there we go, the full sliders and settings for you guys to use for realism following title update 8. Today's video was a little longer than usual, mainly because you guys always ask me about my full settings, and I was like, you know what, let me just show you guys. So I hope you guys find it useful, and I hope you guys try them out for yourselves. I also hope you guys check out the multiple career mode series we have running on the channel, and let me know what you guys think. As always, if you have any comments, any questions, any suggestions, drop them down below and I'll make sure to respond to them. I've been Quick Crusher. I'll see you guys next time.